What else do I want to talk about? Starbucks drink. Hi, puppy. Say hello. This is my lace. This is my lace. Hi, lace. Hello, you want to say hello to the teacher YouTubers? Say hello to the teacher YouTubers. Yes, they're right there. You know it's back to school in the Midwest when you can hear all of the locusts in the tree. I love it. It's so comforting. I could fall asleep to it every night. I guess it's a Midwest thing. Please leave a comment down below if I say anything throughout this video that you're like, what is that? That sounds amazing. Can you please do a video about it? Let me know, because I don't know what you know and what you don't know. So let me know all of these techie terms if you want me to explain them a little bit better in another video. Welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm so excited to be bringing you a paperless digital back to school night for you. So I'm so excited to be doing this year because I've not done a full digital. I've done a little digital here and there on some forms that I wanted the parents to fill out. But this year I'm going completely paperless. The only paper that I'm going to be handing out at back to school night is my very first newsletter, and my newsletter is actually going to be digital throughout the rest of the year, but I just wanted it to be like a hard copy for them to look at, read over, and understand that that is our newsletter, and if they have any questions then they can ask me right then and there. So that is the only paper item that I'm going to be passing out and for them to be taking home on back to school night. Everything else is going to be completely digital. And the only thing you need to be completely digital is a Google account. And I feel like everyone and their mother has a Google account, but if you don't, you definitely need to consider getting one as a teacher because Google Drive is one of the best inventions on the face of the planet. If somebody from Google is watching, thank you. If you have a Google account, then you can access everything that I am telling you today, and I'm actually going to leave my, what I call a Hyperdoc, which if you don't know what a Hyperdoc is, I can explain it in a different video, but I'm going to leave the link to my Hyperdoc below, and I am going to show you how you can use a Hyperdoc to be completely digital on your back to school night. So the first thing that we need to do is, of course, create a Google account if you don't already have one. So I actually have two Google accounts. I have a Google account, a Gmail that I've always had for years and years, and then my school also created a Google account for us. So I have both of them. One of them I use for a lot of my YouTube channel, like my personal one, I use a lot of for my YouTube channel, and then for my school one, I obviously use to store all of my school files. So for this Hyperdoc today, I actually used my personal one, so I was able to send it out to you all, and you guys are able to make a copy of it and use it for your back to school night if you choose so. So the second thing that you need is a small tutorial on Google Forms. I'm sure you've probably filled out a Google form before. If you haven't, it's okay. It really is just a basic form that you can create yourself. And then from that form, it creates a separate spreadsheet of every answer and response that has ever been recorded. So in my Google Doc, in my Google Hyperdoc, I have, look at my cat over here playing with her ball. It's really distracting. I'm sorry, guys. I have been using Google Forms for many things, but I've never really used it for a back to school night. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to show you how to create a Google form, and I'm also going to show you how to put it in one whole document to where the parents can literally go through and click and click and click and click and click and fill out every form that you would like for them to use on back to school night. So if you're wondering what a Hyperdoc is, it's actually a very new term within the last few years that our school is definitely catching on with. If you don't know what a Hyperdoc is, it actually there's actually a link to a blog in my very first page of my Hyperdoc. So a Hyperdoc basically uses Google Slides. Some people have used Google Drawings, Google Docs. I like to use Google Slides because it's easier to maneuver around with. But what it is a student-based, differentiated learning experience where you send out an assignment, say, oh, what did I do last year? Bossy R. In first grade, we teach Bossy R. And we created a Hyperdoc. A lady, my tech integration specialist in my school, she created a Hyperdoc, and I sent it out to my kids using Google Classrooms, which is a whole other video if you guys want me to cover Google Classroom. But I sent it out through Google Classroom, and each kid was able to click on it and force make a copy, which I will show you today. They were able to force make a copy and go through the different slides, and they got to go to different websites. They got to see cute little YouTube videos and songs. They got to go to a Create a Story website where they got to create a story based on Bossy R. They got to record themselves at the very end on what they learned about Bossy R using Flipgrid. Oh my gosh, if you are not using Flipgrid, get on that bandwagon. Flipgrid is amazing. But using Flipgrid, they got to explain what they know. And then at the very end, this is the biggest part. They need to create something. Create something that they learned about. So yes, the book was kind of, I told them to make the book, but this is do whatever you want. So I gave them like a whole list of things if they needed ideas, like make a game board, make flashcard set, make a tiny tap, make a basic board if they wanted to create a slide of things that they learned about Bossy R. Any level that they're on, they could create what they learned about. So creating is the biggest thing about Hyperdocs, is they need to be able to apply and create what they learned. So I took this idea from my student Hyperdocs and made a parent Hyperdoc. Where I started with this parent Hyperdoc is thinking about all of the different paperwork and forms that I would like for them to fill out at back to school night. So parent volunteer forms, parent room parent forms, student information sheet, best contact sheet. All of those things you have an actual paper for at back to school night. And if you're a parent, then you can be extremely overwhelmed with all of the papers you get from school. And you're also getting a front load of paper from the front office of different paperwork that you have to fill out, especially if you're new to the school. So I wanted to alleviate that and kind of decrease the amount of papers that I was using in my classroom in hopes of making things easier on me as a teacher and stay organized better digitally. And then I also want to make things easier on the parents so they can come and enjoy back to school night with their student, back to school night with their child, and come and enjoy the night with me meeting them as their teacher. So what I did is I sent this Hyperdoc, or I will send this Hyperdoc 2 days before back to school night. And I say 2 days, I'd like to do it before then, but sometimes our class schedules or sometimes our class roster gets changed. So I want to make sure that I'm sending it out to the right people. I'm sending it out to my parents in my first grade classroom, kind of introducing myself, explaining what it is, and then they can go through, click on the document, and they can fill out forms right there, right before back to school night. But if they did not get to, or they don't have the resources at home to do it, then I have printed out a QR version where I will have, they can either use their smartphone or they can use my iPad in the classroom to go through and do the exact same form, but it's printed out as stations in my room. So that is my hope for my digital back to school night. And you're obviously going to be able to use your own wording and stuff for your behavior. And hopefully it's an easy little plug-in. So let's get started. Excuse the mess. I had to take everything out of my classroom and bring it in my office. And yes, I am dying. I'm dying inside. But what do you do? I have 4 days. So anyways, I am getting myself set up. What you need to have open is Google. Of course, you need to open up Google, get yourself signed in, and then type in forms into your web browser. But don't have everything in one form. That is like my biggest tip for Google Forms. Don't just go crazy and have like 20 questions. Your parent is not going to want to fill that out. Separate them. So do a student information one separate from your parent contact one, volunteers in the classroom, your volunteers for field trips and parties. Do all of those separate as you can, because whenever they have responses, it goes to a special sheets. And if you have a sheets that has all of the information you need, it's going to be a jumbled mess. So take my advice and do separate forms as much as possible for different subject form. So anything that would be a separate paper needs to be a separate form, essentially. So get yourself into Google Forms, start creating your forms, and then kind of just save them in your Google Drive, and they usually just save right here in your Google Forms too. And then what you need to do is go ahead and click on my link for my Hyperdoc template for you, my back to school night Hyperdoc template for you, and it should pop up with a screen that says make a copy. Please hit make a copy. And that helps us, that just means that we're not collaborating on the same one. So like multiple teachers around the world aren't collaborating on one, which would be a mess. It forces you to make a copy so that one is your own Hyperdoc. So you can be adding in all of your forms and such in one Hyperdoc. So I will show you what that looks like.
Welcome to the Hyperdoc tutorial where I will teach you how to have a paperless back to school night. So the first slide here shows the kind of welcome sign. So you're going to kind of say, you know, I'm so excited for you to be in our class this year. Tell the parents what this Hyperdoc is and that it will help you fill out any forms that you may need for the school year. And then I also have a link to a blog post that talks a little bit more about what a Hyperdoc is if your parents or you are curious to what it is. And then I kind of guide them a little bit on the very first one. So down at the bottom, I have click slide 2 on the left of your screen. So we're going to go to slide 2. And I have our goal for the Hyperdoc. So these are kind of our learning objectives for our parents. So we're going to know our child's schedule, behavior management system, or anything that you want that you are going to make in your slides. So I have these slides already done, but if you don't use something or you would like to use something else, you can always exchange out. This is going to be your copy, so you could do whatever you want with it. And the third slide, I just kind of have some housekeeping notes where, you know, if you see this hand, that means I want you to click on something. So it's just kind of something easy for the parents to see, hey, I need you to click on this. And then I have, when you are ready, click on slide 4 to begin. So each slide has their own purpose. So this slide is going to be to connect them to our class Facebook page. And then anything that I have in red is something that you need to click or edit yourself. So I didn't have this red whenever I gave it to my parents. I had, you know, a nice page. So anything that is red is just like at the top on the welcome sign. This is something that you need to edit. And then the second one, we kind of have our behaviors and rules for first grade. Then we have our schedule. And then I have our first Google form. So right here, I posted a link to a Google form that I filled out on volunteers in the classroom. And if you're not sure what Google Forms is, you can literally just open a tab up and type in Google Forms. And with your Google account, you can create Google Forms. So all you have to do is go to Google Forms, and it's extremely easy. And you can make Google Forms for everything. So I use Google Forms for a lot of stuff, but volunteering is one of them. And then down here, we just needed a background check, so I posted the link to our website. Okay, and then number 8, I want them to fill out a student information sheet. So these are things like allergies or, you know, anything that you want to know, how to get in contact with the parents, anything that's on a student information sheet I've put on this page. And this is also going to be a Google Forms sheet. And then I have what our weekly newsletter will look like. I did have our weekly newsletter right here, but it had some personal information on it, so I kind of took it out. And then here's what the back of our newsletter looks like. So I just posted a picture there so they knew what to look for. And then I also inserted our grade level website because we put our newsletters on our grade level website. So I put that there so they can easily find it. And then slide 10, I have our grades. For school, we do reading, math, and writing, and they earn a plus or minus for handwriting and citizenship. And then when they will receive a grade or midterms, and then I also put our township website. So on slide 11 is so much fun, and I haven't done this for a back to school night before, but this I've done in the classroom many, many, many times. I love, love, love Flipgrid. If you're not familiar with Flipgrid, there's a website down here that you can go to and learn more about. But basically, the kid gets to record themselves for 1 minute and 30 seconds, and in this video I want them to state their first name and what they're most excited about first grade. If you don't want this slide, you can just right click and delete it and make it your own, but this is definitely super fun, and they could do it at home, and then you could look at it the day of, or the first day of school, or you could look on it throughout the year. It's really fun to look back on. Slide number 12 is Seesaw. So I didn't have a code ready for them, but I did have a website where they can download the app and get ready. And then the last task is going to be how the student is getting home the first day of school. So I have another Google form. This is my third Google form, third and final. And this Google form just asks what their regular going home schedule will look like and what their first day of school transportation will look like. And then I also inserted my email address so they can contact me. And then I also inserted the office phone number. I need to make that red. So you can put that if there is a change in transportation. And the last slide, I just inserted a picture of our first grade team and told them thank you so much for participating in the Hyperdoc, and that we will see you at ice cream social, or you can, write, if you don't have an ice cream social, you can put on the first day of school, however you would like to do it. But that is the end of the Hyperdoc. I had a lot of parents at the ice cream social say how much they loved it, how much, relaxing it was to get everything done out of the way before they even met me in the classroom. So it was a really, really good opportunity for the parents. So I highly, highly, highly suggest it. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can use this for your back to school night. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Small tutorial. Oh, she loves her fuzzy balls. Oh, now I understand why people lock up their pets when they do videos.